65 years after birthing the dream of Nigeria's independence, what has the Midwest region brought to the table of nation building? Chronicling these achievements and more is our focus on Panorama, coming to you live from NTA Benin Network Center. Thanks for joining us. I am Udwakobong Achibo. Edo State is now to benefit from the ongoing coastal road project of the federal government. Minister of Works, Senator David Umahi, who said this on behalf of President Tinubu, announced the approval of the 100-kilometer stretch of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway to pass through Edo State, a state that was not originally included in the highway's alignment. Goodluck Kenani reports that the minister was in the state for project inspection tour.
Coastal roads are roads that run along coastline, connecting communities and commercial hubs situated on the land bordering an ocean, sea, or large lake, providing access to coastal resources, facilitate transportation in difficult terrains, and promote tourism and trade. States initially to benefit from the project include Lagos, 100 km, Ogun and Ondo, 82 km, Akwa Ibom, 65 km, Cross River, 27 km, and now Edo with 100 km.
The coastal road was first dreamt by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and he dreamt of it about 47 years back. But unfortunately, the project could not take off. But then the route was made known. But unfortunately, the route did not pass through Edo State. The president has given you 100 km by 2 of the coastal roads.
The construction firm in charge of the project presented its alignment, showing the locations and boundaries in Edo State it will pass through for possible review. This, for Governor Paolo and others who spoke at the occasion, is a testament that Edo is on course.
I am very proud to associate with the president. Not only because I'm a governor, because of what he's doing for Edo.
The minister urged the state to keep faith with President Tinubu and sustain the symbiotic relationship. In Benin, Goodluck Kenani, NTA News.
The popular saying that no legacy is so rich as honesty and trust has been exemplified once again recently as a tricycle rider, Amini Mohammed, becomes a proud owner of a Toyota Corolla car. The gesture came from Edo State Governor Monday Okpewolo, who is impressed by the benevolence of the tricycle rider, who graciously returned a huge sum of 1.5 million naira a passenger forgot in his keke. The presentation of the car was done at the government house. Goodluck Kenani reports.
When young Mohammed Aminu, like every other rider, set out on the fateful day for business, little did he know that a passenger will forget a huge amount of money in his tricycle. After several efforts to locate the owner proved abortive, he then decided to contact his friend Abubakar Usman Denjuma, who rendered help through his father, who is an aide to the state governor.
I started to check the back seat, and I found some sack at the back of Keke. Then I decided to go through the bag. Let me see what is inside the bag. It was money. At the fourth place, I thought it was food.
How are we going to return this money? That was the first thing that came to my mind that day. So after many suggestions, I now had to call my dad and tell him everything.
For 17 days, the Keke rider and his friend were in search of the owner of the missing bag, engaging the services of the various media houses, until a woman identified as Anastasia Ekato surfaced, laying claim to the missing item. She explained that while on her way to deposit the sum of money, she received an emergency call and in the midst of the confusion, forgot the bag containing the money in a tricycle around Lucky Way.
I went here, I was just running, carrying my children, we were running up and down. I run to that same park again. I said, please, I'm here. Immediately, one saw me, say, madam, you are the one for that money. I said, yes. He said, go to NTA. Immediately, I ran to NTA. That was how I get to government house. I've received my money. It's in turn 1.56460 naira.
The secretary to the state government, Musa Ihilo, said the development deserves commendation to encourage the restoration of moral values.
We made some small donation to encourage the keke rider who found the money, undisclosed sum, for him and his friend. And then we made a report to the executive governor, who was not in town when all this happened. And when the governor got the report, he asked, what did you give to the keke rider? And we mentioned, he said, no, that is not enough. We need to upgrade the life of the keke rider entirely. From being a keke rider, let him be a Bolt or Uber driver. And to that effect, His Excellency decided to donate a 2006 Corolla vehicle to the keke rider, so that can become an upgrade for him.
I believe there are still good people in this country. Everybody should be good and play safe. I want to say thank you, Governor.
For many, the 23-year-old Aminu Mohammed, who hails from Ankpa in Kogi State, is not only a pride to his family, Edo and Kogi, but also worthy of emulation by all Nigerians, particularly the youth, who must insist on doing the right thing, no matter the situation. In Benin, good luck in Aini. NTA News.
Well, honesty pays. And now, how to turn around the economic situation of the country is a focus of the 14th Annual Symposium of Muslim Students Society of Nigeria held in Ado Ekiti with the theme, Managing a Volatile Economy for Internal Peace and Security. Tayo Osho reports.
The 14th Annual Symposium provides a platform for intellectual discourse, which tends to navigate the pressing issues and provide actionable recommendations that can influence policies for positive transformation. Speakers at the symposium identified root causes of insecurity, economic challenges of the nation, and the need for economic reforms, inclusive governance, conflict resolution mechanism, in order to achieve national stability.
Implement prudent fiscal policies, cut waste, broaden the tax net, prioritize infrastructure and human capital.
We must have a good data to say this is the number of Nigerians that are actually within the poverty line.
National Amir MSSN Tajuddin Mustafa and the Amir B Zone Moshood Adelaja said the Muslim organization will continue to provide platform for intellectual discourse that could shape the society and the future of the nation. Stakeholders, including the President General, League of Imams and Alfas, Southwest, Edo and Delta States, Sheikh Jamiu Kiuleri, commended the MSSN for the symposium, saying the recommendation will go a long way in reshaping the society. In Ado Ekiti, Tayo Osho, NTA News.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, has marked his 60th birthday with inmates of the Kuje Custodial Center in Abuja. In a statement, Public Relations Officer of the Nigerian Correctional Service, Umar Abubakar, says as part of the celebration, the Speaker, who was represented by his Deputy Chief of Staff, Chamberlain Dungu, flagged off the registration of 100 inmates of the 2025 NAPTEP and NECO examinations, 57 for NAPTEP and 43 for NECO. The gesture, he says, reflects his commitment to inclusive governance and the belief that education is key to rehabilitation and reintegration. Controller General of Corrections, represented by Deputy Controller General Olarewaju Amora, describes the Speaker's choice of venue as historic and a beacon of hope for inmates. The FCT Controller of Corrections, Peter Jen, also notes that the presence of the Speaker's aides and staff of the Center underscores support for ongoing correctional reforms. Now, the Midwestern region of Nigeria was created in 1963. It was later renamed Bendel State in 1976 before being split into the present-day Edo and Delta states in 1991. As Nigeria turned 65, Rosemary Omani takes a look at the legacies of the old Midwest in modern society.
The Midwest is significant in the history of Nigeria and their country's independence in 1960 due to the various roles the region played before, during, and after the independence. Nationalists like Chief Anthony Enahoro and Samuel Ugbemudia remain household names till date due to their roles in the struggle for independence and its sustenance. The Midwest also served as a blueprint for state creation, as it was the only Nigerian region to have been created through a constitutional process. The region's creation is a notable factor in the country's federal history.
Politically, right from conversion to independence, Chief Enahoro, Chief Osadebe, Oba Akenzwa II of Benin, these three personalities made their contributions towards the independence of Nigeria.
Educationally, the region is also not lagging behind. Economically, the Midwest contributed immensely to the nation's economy due to its large deposit of oil and gas in the southern delta, among other natural resources.
If you talk of resource control, the Midwest first moved the issue of resource control under Ogbomudia in the Supreme Military Council meeting, saying that, look, we should allocate more resources to those areas that those resources come from.
The region, especially Edo State, has a notable rich cultural heritage. Its artifacts, like the bronze, is second to none in the world.
There is no top museum in the world or exhibition that you do not find a piece of Edo art.
As Nigeria celebrates her 65th anniversary, it is hoped that the country continues to benefit from the region's lasting legacies. In Benin, Rosemary Omani, NTA News.
Yes, that report launches us into our discussion segment on Panorama. And here have you in the studio a public affairs analyst, Dr. Okunzewa Osawaru. So you're welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much for coming. We're looking at, yes, Nigeria is 65. And in celebrating this, we will not forget certain things that has contributed to its development and growth up till now. And we're looking at the Midwest region. It's believed that it has played part in the development of Nigeria. What are these roles, sir?
Well, we'll start with Philip Igbafe, Professor of History, who held his chair at the University of Benin, actually dwelt on this immediately at his inaugural lecture. We were talking about Benin factor. Of course, Benin was an empire, a kingdom, and now the seat of Edo State after serving as the seat of headquarters, capital of Midwest as well. The contributions are in many regions or domains. You talked about cultural contribution. Don't forget, in 1977, the face of Queen Idia was the mascot for Festac. And that was universal for the entire black race all over the world, apart from what the commissioner or the lady commenting just now also mentioned. So culturally, the Midwesterners represented by the Benins, of course, you're talking about cultural contribution, even our kingsmen across the length and breadth of Edo and Delta, they also have their own cultural ceremonies, festivals, and so on that will be too numerous to mention here. And some of these people are representing Nigeria, winning laurels. Politically, yes, had independence, mentioned Chief Enahoro, Jereti Marire, Osadebe, Oba Akenzwa II, and all those who worked with them. They made quantifiable contributions to our national independence, the quest for our independence in 1960 as well. Then in terms of culture still, Victor Waifo was here, Sonny Okos was here, Chris Okotie was from here, he's still from here, Felix Liberty. These were national icons in the arena of music, which we also agree is part of culture. And if you're talking about sports, so many domains. Stephen Keshi, national coach, captain of the Super Eagles, Augustine Guaivon and his mates, and so on. Then educationally, Alele Williams, for instance, was the first female vice chancellor in the history of Nigeria. So in many domains, the Midwest has made very sterling contributions, and we could go on and on. In political domains, say leadership of political parties, Chief Tommy Kimi was chairman of NROC, Chief Aneni was chairman of SDP, and very recently, Chief Oyegun was chairman of APC, followed by Adams Oshomole. And of course, Adams Oshomole, like other Midwesterners, is versatile. He was also Labour leader. And before him, Michael Imodu. So we have a lot of personalities from this part of the country. And as a matter of fact, not just contribution for the progress of Nigeria, for the very sustenance. In fact, it is often quoted that former head of state Yakubu Gowon said that but for the Midwest, there will be no Nigeria. Because during the crisis arising from the first coup in Nigeria in 1966, there was a lot of restiveness. Of course, you know there was eventually a civil war because our southeastern compatriots wanted to pull away. But the Midwest was neutral. And that was the anchor on which other things were now attached. Because, of course, our leaders, Same, Nahoro, Dorothy Mariri, and the rest of them, insisted Midwest, Ejo, would be neutral. Then at the level of military leadership, we have generated a lot of generals and admirals. Even politically, Aikomo was vice president, Akigbe was. And then we mentioned Jerubamudi already, his predecessor, General Ajo, and so on. So Nigerians, of course, this is a very, very short list. It could well be expanded, into a full book, the contributions Midwesterners have made to the history and progress of Nigeria.
Now, let me still stay with you politically. When we look at the region, how it was formed, it was by political negotiations and mobilization. People came together, referendum, kind of like, let's see how it comes, we can do about it next week. Now, related to the present-day political situation in the country, do you see that it has cast an influence on the country politically?
Yes.
When we see the scenario that Midwest was formed.
It's singular. It's singular in our history. The only region that has been created by civilians. Subsequently, all the states created were by military fiat. So the people of the Midwest were consulted. They actually came out to vote whether they wanted the region of their own or not from the old Western region. So I think that history, that part of Nigerian history is reserved for the Midwesterners and is yet to be replicated.
Because we see a situation in the country now, like people came together and said, this is what we want to have. We see that this agitation for more creation of states in Nigeria. How would you relate to that, talking about the agitation, people coming together to say for mobilization and negotiation, this is what we want, this side should go, and for the development of the country?
The conditions and the standards are spelled out in our constitution. I do hope these things will be invoked to answer the question of equity and even development down the road. So the provisions are already there. So maybe the Midwest model will now come to the fore in replicating the creation of states down the road.
Yes, we've not looked at it economically.
Of course, economically.
How did it affect the country economically, the Midwest region, how it was formed, and everything that went about it, and now the economic situation of the country, how has it really developed Nigeria?
Oil is still a major part of our national revenue. And you know, Delta, more than Edo, of course, both of them combined historically, they still make a huge contribution to our national purse. So oil production, the revenue derived from it and so on, the old Bender of Midwest has always been there. Even now, Edo and Delta are highly present.
Yes, specifically, let's look at the individuals, the personalities that from here, this region, we know Edo State now was part of that region. Looking at the state now, these personalities from this region that had really affected the country, what specific things can we identify with them that really has really helped the country to grow in its journey?
Well, they were patriots. We were patriots, highly endowed. For instance, even as a schoolboy, Enahoro was termed to be one of the most brilliant persons that ever came off at Nigeria. Editor of a newspaper when he was barely 20 or just in his early 20s and so on and so forth. So there is no, if you're talking about governance, what the Bermuda did here is still, like say, the gold standard in terms of public administration.
So we believe that the Midwest has really contributed to Nigeria's development, spanning the 65 years of its independence.
Continuously.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kunzawa, for coming to share your thoughts on what we had on the table. Yes, we now take a break. Panorama continues and we return. Thank you for joining us again. In today's modern world, no girl should have to miss school because of her inability to afford sanitary products needed to experience required menstrual health. It is unacceptable. Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu made this declaration in Gombe State during the national launch of Renewed Hope Initiative, Flow with Confidence, a menstrual health intervention targeting schoolgirls across the country. State House correspondent Adeni Taiwo tells us more.
You might even get embarrassed when the opposite gender see you like that. Some people might even be mean enough to laugh like that. So it's actually not nice.
For a young girl, one of the difficult and embarrassing stories to tell is that of menstruation, particularly where sanitary items needed to guarantee menstrual dignity are not easily available. Esther Lucas' account, a reality for many other young girls in rural and underserved communities, is not only a cause for social inhibition, but also a dent on confidence that affects school attendance during their monthly flow.
Some who attend resort to using unsafe, unhygienic alternatives, while others stay at home altogether, falling behind in their studies, and in some cases eventually drop out of school.
A national launch of the Renewed Hope Initiative, Flow with Confidence in Gombe State by Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu.
We will be distributing 1 year's supply of disposable sanitary pads to 370,000 schoolgirls in rural communities across the nation at the end of this program. All states and the federal capital territory will receive 10,000 pads each through the state first ladies and RHI coordinators. This is to support our girls in rural communities and those who are unable to afford sanitary pads. Each beneficiary will receive 1 year's supply of pads. We chose disposable sanitary pads because it offers a simple, hygienic option that offers better health benefits for a woman's reproductive well-being. I want to especially appeal to the executive chairmen of local government areas, given your critical position as the arm of the government closest to the people and your role in delivering essential services.
Our concern is that we raise the standards of hygiene and sanitation. And what we are doing now is part of it.
This initiative would deliver menstrual hygiene, education and awareness in school, communities and among families, helping to demystify menstruation and promote healthy practices.
Adolescent girls all across the world are critical for the development of any nation. We acknowledge numerous challenges they face, amongst which you are addressing one of them today.
Away from the launch, the First Lady inaugurated the newly built Federal Medical Center, Kumo. She was also the guest of the Lamido Ako Alhaji Muhammad Atiku, who conferred on her the traditional title of Sarauniya Yaki, Queen Warrior of Ako Emirates. She also held an expanded interaction with members of Gombe State Traditional Council. From Gombe, Adeni Taiwo, NTA News.
Lumide Guntola now brings a story from the sporting world.
Nigeria's Flying Eagles defeated their counterpart from Saudi Arabia 3-2 in their second Group F encounter Friday morning to earn 3 points and brighten their chances of reaching the round of 16 at the ongoing 24th FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Chile. The Saudi Arabian team came from behind twice to level scores at 2-2 before Nigeria secured victory with 4 minutes into added time when Captain Daniel Bamiyi converted from the penalty spot.
They match Nigeria in all ramifications, even though we have more shots at goal. That is why I want to advise the Flying Eagles to try as much as possible to up their game against the Colombians. The Colombians are more dangerous.
We need to do better, we need to improve. Because going into our next match against Colombia, we are facing a much more technical side and a much more accomplished Colombian side.
And for the fact that they scored 3 goals after not being able to score in their first game shows that their coaches are really working. Let them keep the momentum.
And in the English Premier League, Chelsea will host Liverpool, while Manchester United will attempt to return to winning days when the team welcomes Sunderland, among other matches on Saturday. In water sports, Team Brady leads by just a single point over Team Rafa at the top of the championship table as UIM E1 World Electronic Boats Championship bets on Nigerian waters this Saturday for a historic debut penultimate battle to crown the 2025 champions of the water. The E1 Lagos Grand Prix, slated for the Lagos Lagoon, has 21 points, covering the top 4 teams ahead of the season's final in Miami. Team Brady leads with 135 points, followed by Team Rafa with 134 points, among others. In tennis, Coco Gauff defeated Ivalice 6-3, 6-4 to reach the semi-final of the WTA 1000 tournament in Beijing. The Beijing defending champion, Coco Gauff, is now 2 wins away from winning China Open again. With sports updates, Olumide Eguntola, NTA News.
And that's it on Panorama. Thank you so much for your time. Good afternoon.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good, verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.